My name is Kenya, and I never imagined I would share this story. My upbringing seemed quite typical, with my older brother Daniel, our parents, and me living in a modest home on the street. My mother stayed at home, managing some inherited money, while my father tirelessly worked as a sales manager at Burke's Building Supplies. Although we weren't wealthy, we managed just fine. Growing up, it appeared that my parents treated Daniel and me equally. They even saved for our college education, making sacrifices wherever necessary. When Daniel finished high school, our parents celebrated with a big party. Fast forward to my graduation. The celebration was markedly subdued, just a quiet dinner before I left for college. Driving away, I felt a sense of relief, as if I could finally escape the shadow of Daniel and breathe freely. The college opened up a new world for me. I made friends, joined the debate team, and even started dating. I occasionally video call home to share my experiences, but it felt like my parents were waiting for their chance to bring up Daniel, their golden boy. Time flew by, and soon I was returning home with my degree, eager to start my career in the city. But the moment I stepped inside, dragging my suitcases, I sensed a change. The house smelled strongly of cleaner, as if my mother had been on a cleaning spree. "Kenya, honey, welcome home." She greeted me briefly before hurrying back to prepare for Daniel's new girlfriend, who was coming over for dinner. It was clear nothing had changed. I was still just a secondary thought in my own home. Over the next few days, I watched as my parents doted on Daniel and his girlfriend, Harley. Daniel had secured a prestigious job at an investment firm, and suddenly, he could do no wrong. My mother acted more like a maid than a parent, catering to Daniel and Harley's every need, even maintaining Daniel's room, as if he were still a child. I quickly realized I didn't belong there anymore. My childhood bedroom had been converted into Daniel's home office, and Harley had taken my place at the dinner table. It felt as if I had been erased from the family. One evening, after dinner, my father took me aside. "Kenya," he began, his tone more transactional than fatherly, "your mother, and I think it's time you found your place. You're a college graduate now. It's time to spread your wings." I was stunned. They were essentially evicting me, and the nonchalant way my father spoke made it seem as though he was doing me a favor. That night, I called Grandma Lakeland, my father's mother and the only sensible person left in our family. "Oh, sweetie," she said warmly over the phone after hearing my story. "You come to stay with me. I've got plenty of room." I was tempted. Her house was practically a palace. But deep down, I knew it was time for me to carve out my path, one where I wasn't overshadowed by anyone else. I knew it was time to rely on myself. "Thanks, Grandma, but I think I need to do this on my own," I told her. There was a brief pause before she replied, her voice filled with pride. "I'm proud of you, Kenya. Tell you what, I'll cover your first month's rent as a graduation gift." Despite my attempts to decline, Grandma insisted. A week later, I was settling into my new apartment. It was a simple studio with a small kitchenette and a view of the parking lot, but it was all mine. I secured an entry-level position at a local marketing firm. It was a humble beginning, but it marked the start of my new life. I immersed myself in my work, eager to establish a life distinctly separate from the family drama that had unfolded. As the months passed, I occasionally received texts from my mom, always generic messages like, "Hope you're doing well." It seemed I had become a peripheral figure to them, overshadowed by Daniel, their ticket to a comfortable retirement. But life is full of surprises. 5 months after my move, I met Charles. He was different. He genuinely listened and cared about my dreams and fears. For the first time, I felt truly valued. Our relationship progressed rapidly, and within 5 months, Charles and I decided to move in together. Then, one evening, amidst a casual dinner of Chinese takeout in our small living room, Charles proposed. I said yes, thrilled by the prospect of starting a new chapter with him. Introducing Charles to my parents was the next hurdle. When they learned about his stable job at a tech startup and his apartment, their enthusiasm was unmistakable. During dinner, my dad eagerly asked Charles about his work. Charles explained his role in app development and his aspirations for the company's future. My parents were visibly impressed, hanging on every word. "What are your plans for the future, career-wise?" my mom interjected. Charles shared his ambitions, including a detailed 6-year plan. With each detail, I watched my parents grow more fond of him. Finally, my dad gave Charles a hearty slap on the back. "Well, son, I think you'll make a fine addition to our family." I was stunned. After years of struggling to meet their expectations, suddenly, I was back in their good graces, all because I had found someone they approved of. The next day, my mom called, bubbling with excitement. "Kenya, honey, your father and I have been talking. We want to help with the wedding. We'll cover half the costs and handle all the organizing. We want your day to be perfect." I felt a warm glow in my heart. After all these years, it seemed I finally mattered to them, that I was on equal footing with Daniel. However, the ensuing months were a whirlwind of wedding planning. My mom took the reins, securing the fanciest restaurant in town for the reception, while my dad compiled an extensive guest list, including every distant relative and business associate. I threw myself into every detail, from selecting flowers to tasting cakes, fully immersed in the excitement of planning my perfect day. After finally discovering the perfect wedding dress, a stunning creation of lace and satin that transformed me into a princess, my anticipation was shattered just 3 weeks before the ceremony. The devastating news came through a phone call from my mom. "Kenya, honey," she began, her voice strained, "I'm so sorry, but we have to call off the wedding." Confused and feeling like I'd been sucker punched, I demanded an explanation. "It's your brother," she replied, her voice cracking. "He and Harley had a terrible fight. She's left him, and he's in pieces." As I clutched my phone, struggling to comprehend, Mom explained further. "We can't possibly celebrate now with your brother in such a state. It just wouldn't be appropriate." Stunned, I tried to argue. "Mom, everything is set. Guests have booked their flights. How can we cancel everything on such short notice?" At that moment, my dad joined the call. "Kenya," he interjected, "don't be selfish. Your brother needs our support now." "Selfish," I retorted, my voice rising in disbelief. "This is my wedding." "Kenya, stop," my dad snapped. "You're being too dramatic. You can marry anytime. Right now, we need to be there for your brother." Before I could respond, my mom coldly instructed me to inform the guests of the cancellation, and they hung up. Standing there, phone still in hand, I was overwhelmed by a torrent of emotions. How was I supposed to tell Charles, his parents, and all our friends who had made travel arrangements? It seemed incomprehensible that my parents would disregard all our plans and promises simply because my brother's relationship had ended. Collapsing against the wall, a mixture of laughter and tears escaped me, a reaction to the sheer absurdity and betrayal of the situation. After some time spent in stunned silence, anger began to take hold. I called my brother Daniel, who answered after several rings, sounding annoyed. When I confronted him about the situation, he nonchalantly admitted to ruining his relationship by cheating and expressed a desire to win Harley back. As for my wedding, he dismissively stated it wasn't his concern and claimed he hadn't planned on attending anyway. Shocked by his indifference, I hung up and immediately redialed my parents, trembling with rage. When my mom answered, I cut her off to reveal Daniel's infidelity. There was a pause, and then my dad came on the line, but before he could speak, I realized that regardless of their response, my wedding was no longer just about union. It was about standing up for my own life's milestones, regardless of my brother's mistakes. As I hung up the phone with my parents, declaring my wedding canceled, a mix of disbelief and anger surged through me. How could they prioritize my brother over my wedding, especially at such short notice? In a fit of frustration, I tossed my phone onto the couch, barely containing the urge to scream. Desperate for some support, I reached out to the one person who always seemed to understand, Grandma Lakeland. "Grandma," I began, my voice cracking from emotion, "I need your help." I recounted the entire ordeal to her, the sudden cancellation, Daniel's betrayal, and our parents' unwavering decision to support him despite everything. Grandma listened silently, offering a soft, "Oh, dear," now and then. When I finished, she spoke with a tone rich in empathy. "What a mess, my dear. Don't worry, I'll try to talk some sense into them." An hour later, Grandma called back, her voice heavy with defeat. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart," she said. "I tried, but they wouldn't listen. Your father has even gone ahead and canceled the restaurant and notified your guests." Feeling a wave of despair, I realized how clear my parents had made their priorities. Daniel would always come first, no matter the cost to anyone else. The next morning, a knock on my door jolted me from a restless sleep. It was Grandma Lakeland, standing there with a tray of coffee and pastries. "Thought you could use some breakfast," she said, sweeping past me into the apartment. As we sat at my small kitchen table, me clutching a mug of coffee as if it were a lifeline, Grandma dropped another shocking revelation. "I found out why your parents canceled your wedding," she said, her voice tinged with anger. "They bought Daniel an expensive vacation package for two and a brand new sports car." My heart sank. "But how can they afford all that?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Grandma reached out, her hand comforting mine. "They can't, dear. That's why they canceled your wedding. They're using that money for Daniel's grand apology to Harley." The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. Not only had my parents chosen to support Daniel's reconciliation attempts, but they were also financing it by sacrificing my special day. "They're even planning to pay for his wedding if Harley takes him back," Grandma continued, her voice soft but filled with sorrow. I sat in stunned silence, absorbing the full weight of their decision. Grandma's next words brought me back. "Listen to me. You deserve your special day, and I'm going to make sure you have it. I'll pay for your wedding." Tears overwhelmed me, and Grandma came around the table to wrap me in a comforting hug. "No more tears," she said gently, stroking my hair. "We've got a wedding to plan." Over the next few hours, we were in a flurry of activity. I sent a mass email to all the guests, apologizing for the confusion and announcing the new wedding date, just 3 weeks away. Charles was incredibly supportive, helping every step of the way. Grandma and I were determined. Despite the hurt and the setbacks, we were going to make sure this wedding happened, filled with love and surrounded by those who truly supported us. When I broke the news to Charles about the cancellation of our original wedding plans, his reaction was nothing short of comforting. He embraced me gently and assured me, "As long as I'm marrying you, the details don't matter." His parents echoed his support, with his mom eagerly offering to help with the new arrangements. "We're family now, dear. We stick together," she said warmly. In the weeks that followed, our wedding planning turned into a bustling project of love and excitement. Charles, his parents, Grandma, and I were fully engaged, securing a new venue, reconfirming with the caterer, and ensuring everything was set for our big day. Amid the flurry of preparations, I felt a bittersweet mix of emotions, elation for the life Charles and I were about to start together, and a poignant sadness for the family ties that seemed to be unraveling. My parents remained silent throughout this period, not once reaching out after they had withdrawn from the initial plans. It felt as though I had become invisible to them. Just as I was trying to reconcile with this estrangement, my mom escalated the situation unexpectedly. My phone was inundated with her calls, which I initially ignored, leading to a series of voicemails laden with accusations. "Kenya," her voice seethed, "I know what you're doing with your grandmother. Stop it right now. You have no right to turn her against us." I deleted her messages with a mix of frustration and disbelief. Yet, the messages persisted, each one more accusatory than the last, suggesting I was exploiting Grandma for financial gain and threatening dire consequences if I didn't cease. The situation took a dramatic turn when Charles, looking notably upset, called me over to show me something on his phone. It was a Facebook post from my mom that read like a public denouncement. "It breaks my heart to say this, but my daughter Kenya has shown her true colors. She's manipulating her poor, confused grandmother for money. She doesn't care about family, only herself. How did we raise such a selfish child?" I scrolled through the comments in shock, finding that my dad had joined the fray, painting me as a jealous sibling undermining the family. Distraught but determined, I went to Grandma Lakeland's house, where she was already setting up her iPad, ready to counter their claims. "Your parents think I don't know how to use the internet," she chuckled. "Let's show them how wrong they are." We spent the next hour recording a video response. Grandma addressed the camera directly, her voice unwavering and clear. "I'm Lakeland Thompson, and I'm here to set the record straight. I'm of sound mind, and I'm appalled by the lies my son and daughter-in-law are spreading about my granddaughter, Kenya. She has not manipulated me or tried to turn me against anyone. She's a kind, loving young woman who deserves better than this treatment." Grandma detailed the events that led to the cancellation of the initial wedding plans, emphasizing how my parents had favored my brother repeatedly. By the time she concluded, tears were streaming down my face. "I love both my grandchildren," Grandma stated, her eyes reflecting both strength and sadness. "But it's time the truth is known. Charles and I, bolstered by Grandma's fearless defense, felt ready to face whatever came next. Together, surrounded by those who truly supported us, we were determined to move forward and celebrate our love, no matter the obstacles." As we released Grandma Lakeland's video that night, the online reactions poured in rapidly. Within hours, it amassed hundreds of comments and shares, sparking a fierce family debate. Cousin Sarah expressed her support, confident in my innocence, while Great Aunt criticized my dad for his leniency with my brother. Uncle Mason bluntly rebuked my parents. "Lincoln, Linda, this is low. Real low. You need to make this right." Yet, for every comment backing us, others were defending my parents, splitting our family right down the middle. Observing the virtual battle unfold on my screen left me with mixed emotions. While it felt validating to have the truth out there, it was heart-wrenching to see my family divided over our ordeal. The following day, an unexpected call came from Uncle Ryan, my mom's brother. I hesitated to answer, anticipating more family drama, but his voice was unexpectedly warm. "Kenya, it's Uncle Ryan. I saw the video, and I had no idea things were this bad," he said. The kindness in his tone eased some of the tension I'd been holding. After a brief pause, he continued, "Listen, kiddo, I know I'm probably the last person you'd expect to hear from right now, but I want you to know I'm on your side. And if your dad's not coming to the wedding, I'd be honored to walk you down the aisle if you'd like." Tears welled up as I gratefully accepted his offer. Our conversation ended with plans to catch up further, leaving me feeling more buoyant than I had in weeks. Perhaps, I thought, things were finally starting to look up. As Charles and I finalized the guest list, I took a deep breath and crossed out the names of my parents and Daniel. It was a tough decision, but necessary. When we shared this update with Charles's parents, his mom embraced me tightly, saying, "You're family now, Kenya. We got your back." The wedding day arrived sooner than expected, and we opted for a smaller, more intimate ceremony. Standing in the bridal suite with Grandma Lakeland adjusting my veil, I felt an unexpected calm wash over me. The ceremony was everything I could have hoped for. Uncle Ryan walked me down the aisle, pride evident in his smile, and Charles's expression as he saw me was unforgettable, a look of pure love and joy. We exchanged vows and rings, and just like that, we were married. The reception was a beautiful celebration with those who genuinely cared for us. We danced, laughed, and reveled in the love not only between Charles and me, but also in the supportive bonds of our chosen family. As the evening began to wind down, Grandma Lakeland clinked her glass to capture everyone's attention. Standing slightly shaky but with a clear, strong voice, she announced, "I have something to say. Kenya, you've shown incredible strength and grace through all of this. You're the granddaughter I always dreamed of having. So I want everyone here to know that I've decided to make Kenya my sole heir. It's not much, but it's my way of showing her how proud I am." The room erupted in applause and cheers. Overwhelmed and moved to tears, I Lakeland to hug Grandma tightly. "Thank you," I whispered, feeling the full weight of her love and support. Charles squeezed my hand, his grin wide, as we celebrated the start of our new life together, surrounded by true family. With emotion thick in my voice, I whispered to Grandma Lakeland, "I love you so much." She smiled gently, patting my cheek, and replied, "I love you too, dear. Now go on, enjoy your party. It's your day." As I scanned the room, taking in the joyful faces of Charles, his parents, Uncle Ryan, and all the friends and family who had supported me, I was enveloped in a profound sense of peace. This was my family now, imperfect, perhaps, but real and filled with love. The euphoria of our wedding lasted about a week before turmoil erupted again. Charles and I were cozy on the couch, reliving the day through our wedding photos when my phone began buzzing incessantly with notifications. Confused, I checked Facebook, only to find it besieged by furious posts from my parents. "How dare you turn my mother against me?" my dad's post screamed. My mom's message was even harsher. "You manipulative little witch. You've stolen our inheritance." My stomach churned with nausea. Before I could process everything, Grandma Lakeland called. "Don't you worry about a thing, dear," she assured me before I could even greet her. True to her word, she took charge. The following day, my dad called, his tone weary and defeated. "Kenya," he said, "your grandmother is threatening to take us to court. She claims she has evidence of harassment. Tell her not to do anything rash." I took a moment to enjoy the reversal of fortune before replying, "I think you should tell her that yourself, Dad. And while you're at it, maybe apologize for all the trouble you've caused." Hanging up, I felt a significant weight lift from my shoulders. It was over, finally, truly over. In the months that followed, Charles and I embraced our new life together, discovering our routines and the small quirks of married life. Every Sunday, we had dinner with Grandma Lakeland, sharing our week's stories and listening to tales of her youth. "Did I ever tell you about the time I snuck out to see Elvis in concert?" she asked one evening, a mischievous twinkle in her eye. Charles and I grinned at each other, eager to hear more. "No, Grandma," I said, leaning forward. "Do tell." Life wasn't perfect, of course. We had our share of mundane disputes over chores and the usual stresses of daily life, but knowing I had a family that truly loved and supported me made everything manageable. We spent holidays with Uncle Ryan and his family, slowly mending and strengthening those ties. It was different now, but somehow more authentic and sincere. As for my parents and Daniel, karma seemed to catch up with them. Despite all the resources poured into Daniel's grand romantic gesture, Harley had moved on, leaving the state to escape the drama. Daniel found himself job-hopping after losing a prestigious position, still living at home under our parents' coddling. They continued to treat him as the golden child, but now without Grandma Lakeland's financial safety net. Part of me felt sorrow for them. They had lost so much. Their daughter, their mother, their dignity, all because they couldn't look beyond their favoritism. But a larger part of me felt liberated. I was free from the burden of living up to their impossible standards and competing for their affection. I didn't know what the future held. Perhaps one day my parents would see the error of their ways, or perhaps they wouldn't. But one thing was certain. Whatever came next, I had the strength and support to face it confidently.